Welcome. My name is Jackie Coleman, and I'm the Senior Education Investments Officer at the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about a request for proposals that we have out for out-of-school time quality arts instruction grant applications. Thought I'd begin with giving you a little bit of history about the Hartford Foundation, who we are, what we do, and then kind of explain how we got to this point where we wanted to release this particular request for proposals. And then I'm going to close up with a couple of answers to some questions that have already come up about the grant proposal to help you better prepare in writing it. The Hartford Foundation for Public Giving is a community foundation that was founded in 1925 by two bankers who decided that they wanted to have funding available for the greater Hartford community in perpetuity, meaning lasting forever. They invested this money in an account called an endowment, and then annually would draw down the interest from that money, and then the interest was what got invested back into the community. At this point, we have nearly a $1 billion endowment, of which we draw down interest in the area of around $35 million a year. This $35 million a year goes out into the greater Hartford community, which for us represents 29 towns. You can look up on our website which 29 towns we serve. Of that $35 million, about $15 million is actually what we call donor advised. That means the donors themselves are actually making the decisions about where that funding is going. The remaining dollars are partially strategic, partially responsive. We respond to needs in the community when we get calls and inquiries for, can I come in for a grant? Then we also have a pool of money that are, now it's called strategic dollars. And those strategic dollars are directly tied to our strategic operating plan. So that brings us back to the strategic operating plan where this request for proposals came out of. Our strategic operating plan is trying to reduce disparities around race, place, or income in the greater Hartford region. We're looking at community resilience, we're looking at community and economic development, and we're looking at education and skill attainment, birth to career. And across all of those areas, we're having conversations about how the arts and culture community can help us reduce those disparities. So our first step out into that arena is to release this request for proposals. This out-of-school time grant opportunity is intended specifically for Hartford students. We want to focus on Hartford students, specifically students that probably don't have access to quality out-of-school time arts experiences. So maybe the program might happen in a community center, in the basement of a church. It might happen in an arts institution that has a space to hold the programming. It might happen at a school, in partnership with a school. So we're open to where this happens. What we're interested in is reaching the population that doesn't typically get to access quality out-of-school time arts instruction. A couple things about the grant. The grant is actually due December 2nd, which is Monday after Thanksgiving weekend, and we can take applications up until 5 p.m. that day. I want to make sure and encourage you to consider partnerships. The main applicant needs to be a 501c3. That is what our policy requires, that applications have to come from a 501c3. But that 501c3 can work with multiple different partners. They could be other 501c3s. They could be independent, individual, freelance teaching artists. We have a wealth of amazing teaching artists in the greater Hartford region, and I encourage you all to consider partnering with some of them as well as you're considering how to build out your programming. Then there was a couple of questions that had come up around the grant, so I wanted to share with you some of those answers. First of all, some folks had asked us about who reads these. In particular, are there going to be readers of color that are representing the community that we're hoping to serve with this grant? And the answer is yes. We have a team at the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving scheduled to review these grants, and it is more than 50% people of color that will be reviewing the grants. Another question came up, what does out-of-school time mean? Does it have to be after school? Can it be before school, on the weekends, over the summer? The answer is yes. It can be any of those, any combination you want. And also, the grants will be announced and awarded in January of 2020, but your program doesn't have to start right away. It can, or it could start in the summertime, or it might even be a program that you're building out and you want to implement in the fall. We're not concerned with the timeline. You build it out the best way you can. We just want you to know you'll be notified and the grant will begin in January of 2020. Another important question is people asked, is this an exception to the Hartford Foundation's 3-year rule? And the answer is yes. If you currently are a nonprofit and you have a grant with us in a grant cycle, normally you're not able to come in for an additional grant. However, this is an exception to the 3-year rule. This is a strategic grant, and we are actually asking you to apply. So please feel free to do so. And lastly, consider the accessibility of the program to the community. That is one of the areas that we really look for in the grant application. How accessible is it, and how culturally responsive is the programming itself? And what is the makeup of your staff, and what is their experience? How long have they been working with young people in Hartford or in other communities similar to Hartford? So the more you can tell us about that, so we can understand how your program is a really good fit for this particular community to reduce disparities around race, place, or income, that's what we're looking for. Good luck. I look forward to reading all of your grants. If you have any questions when you're completing the application, Cynthia Sanchez, her email should come up on the screen for you. Feel free to send her an email and she can walk you through what you need to know to get it all done. Thank you.